Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're diving into the world of Jean-Jacques Rousseau.
Oh, Rousseau.
Quite the thinker.
Yes.
We've got a great collection of his work to pull from.
Yeah, we do.
We have The Confessions of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a discourse upon the origin and the foundation of the inequality among mankind, Emile,
That's a good one.
and the Social Contract and Discourses.
It's going to be a good one.
So,
A lot to cover.
lot to cover. There's so much to unpack here. I thought a good place to start would be with The Confessions of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, his autobiography.
Yeah.
It's known for being,
A very personal work.
yeah, incredibly open and honest, maybe a bit shocking for the time.
Well, for sure for the time.
Right,
Even for today. I mean,
right.
he really lays it all out there.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's not just like a recounting of events.
Right.
It's like he's giving us his emotional landscape.
Yes.
You know, how his upbringing, his relationships, his struggles,
Right.
all of that shaped his worldview.
Right.
It really did.
Yeah.
And we see that reflected throughout his work. Like, there's that story in Confessions that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
About him as a young man, hungry and tired, seeking shelter.
Oh, yeah.
And this peasant offers him a humble meal.
Yeah.
And the peasant says to him, "If the Lord had led you to the other side of the hill, you would have had a better welcome."
That's a good one.
What a moment, right?
It is.
Like you see these seeds of social critique right there.
Yeah, you can totally see how his ideas about inequality start to form there.
This contrast between the inherent goodness of this simple peasant
Yeah.
versus the potential for coldness and inequality in broader society.
Right. And that really feeds directly into his concept of the noble savage.
Oh, yes, the noble savage.
Yeah.
The idea that humans are naturally good,
Right.
but corrupted by the influences of society.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's interesting because discourse on inequality isn't just some abstract theory.
No, it's not.
He uses such vivid imagery,
Yeah.
like that description of man in his natural state,
Mhm.
satisfying the calls of hunger under the first oak, drinking at the first rivulet, sleeping at the foot of the same tree that afforded him his meal.
Powerful stuff.
Right. It's like he's painting a picture of humanity
He is. He's making us see it.
before all the complexities of civilization came along.
Mm-hmm.
But does he really think we should all go back to living in the woods?
Well, not literally.
Okay, good.
He understood that we need social structures.
Right.
It's more about recognizing what we've lost
Okay.
and maybe how we can regain some of that.
I see. So it's more of a thought experiment?
In a way, yeah.
I mean, it makes you think about the trade-offs we make
Definitely.
to live in complex societies.
Absolutely. And that's where the social contract comes in.
Okay, so in the social contract, he's trying to figure
Well,
out
he's
the-
grappling with this question.
Yeah.
How do we create a just society?
Right.
How do we balance individual freedom with the needs of the collective?
Because you can't have complete freedom.
Right. It would be chaos.
It would be, right. So there has to be some give and take.
Exactly. And for Rousseau, the solution is the general will.
Okay, the general will. Now, that's a concept I always found a bit tricky.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's a head scratcher for sure.
Yeah. So how do we explain the general will?
Break it down for us.
So Rousseau describes it as,
Like in simple terms.
okay, in simple terms, it's the collective will of the people.
Okay.
It's what's best for society as a whole.
So it's not just about what I as an individual want.
Right. It's not just about your wants or my wants.
Okay.
It's about what would benefit everyone.
In the long run.
Exactly, in the long run.
Okay.
The tough part is, well, how do we figure out what that is?
Yeah, how do you know?
What is the general will?
Right. It seems very open to interpretation.
It is, and that's one of the criticisms of Rousseau's ideas.
Right.
You know, if we're giving up some individual freedoms for the general will, well, what's to stop those in power
Right.
from twisting that to their own agenda?
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a big question.
It's a very big question. It's like he's raising more questions than he's answering,
Well, he is.
which is good.
It is. It makes us think,
It keeps us on our toes.
and it makes him relevant even today.
It does.
You know, these fundamental questions about
Yeah.
power, freedom, and the purpose of society. I mean,
It's all still relevant today.
it never goes away.
So let's shift gears a bit and talk about education.
Right.
His novel, Emile,
Right.
full of really radical ideas
Very radical.
about how children should learn.
Yeah.
I mean, what was he getting at?
Well, you know, if you consider his views on society
Yeah.
and its corrupting influence,
Yep.
it makes sense that he wasn't a fan of traditional education.
Right, because he sees traditional education as...
Yeah, like stifling curiosity.
Right.
imposing societal norms on these young minds.
Imposing, yeah. Okay, so what's the alternative?
Well, he championed something called negative education.
Okay.
Where the focus is on shielding children from vices and errors until they can reason for themselves.
I see. So it's kind of like, let kids be kids.
Right. Let them explore.
Yeah.
Let them experience.
Let them learn through doing.
Right. Direct engagement with the world.
It's pretty radical even today.
It is. It is.
Instead of just filling them up with facts.
Yeah, it's about fostering curiosity, letting them discover.
Allowing them to develop their own understanding.
Exactly.
It's interesting, though, because for Rousseau, this approach to education wasn't just about individual development.
No, it's bigger than that.
Right. It was about cultivating.
It's about creating good citizens.
Yes.
Who can contribute to a just society.
Right.
Guided by the general will.
There it is again, the general will.
It's all connected.
So it seems like all these themes,
yeah,
the noble savage, the social contract education, all interconnected in his thinking.
Yeah.
He's trying to understand what makes us human.
That's the core of it.
And how we can create societies that let us flourish.
Yeah, you got it.
How we can thrive.
How we can be our best selves.
Right.
It's all about that relationship between the individual and society.
Between our natural inclinations and the structures.
The rules, the systems.
That we create.
Yeah, the world we build around ourselves.
It's a lot to think about.
It is, it is.
It really is. But I think that's what makes Rousseau so fascinating.
I agree.
He doesn't give us easy answers.
Nope.
But he sure makes us think.
That's for sure. And that's why we're here today.
We're here to dig deep.
Absolutely. To explore.
And to keep those questions alive.
That's what it's all about. It's amazing how Rousseau's personal life leads into his philosophy.
Oh, yeah. The confessions are so revealing.
It's so personal.
Yeah, we talked about his upbringing, but what about love? I mean, given his critique of societal norms, I imagine he had some unconventional thoughts on love and relationships, too.
He did. He was very critical of the romanticized, almost theatrical view of love. Especially among the upper classes.
Interesting.
He was all about stripping away artificiality to get to the core of human nature.
The real stuff.
Yeah, the authentic self.
So no grand gestures.
Yeah.
No serenades under the balcony.
He might not have condemned them outright.
Okay.
But he saw those things as distractions from what really matters in a relationship.
So genuine connection.
Shared values.
Mutual respect.
That's the foundation.
Okay, so how does that play out in his work? Is there like a Rousseauian model for love?
Well, his novel, Emile, offers some insights.
Okay.
The relationship between Emile and Sophie, his ideal woman, is fascinating.
Sophie, the woman raised according to Rousseau's...
Right, his radical principles.
Educational principles. What's their relationship like?
Well, on the surface, it might seem traditional.
Okay.
Emile's older. He pursues Sophie, guides her development. Okay. But if you look deeper, their connection is built on shared values, intellectual compatibility, a genuine appreciation for each other's unique qualities.
So he's emphasizing a partnership of equals.
Yeah, even though it's presented within the context of 18th century gender roles.
Right, right.
But let's not forget, this is a time when marriages were often arranged for political or economic gain.
Totally.
So Rousseau's emphasis on choosing a partner based on love and shared values,
pretty radical.
He was revolutionary for the time.
Yeah, he's really pushing for something different.
He is. He's saying love should go beyond societal expectations and superficial attractions.
It's the core.
To the real deal.
So how does his critique of inequality fit into all of this?
Well, he was very aware of how wealth and social status could distort relationships. He believed that the pursuit of wealth, the desire to keep up with the Joneses, could lead to envy, jealousy, a corruption of genuine affection.
It's like trying to impress others with possessions. Can poison a relationship.
You got it. He saw how that pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle, accumulate wealth, could undermine those simple joys.
The simple joys, yeah.
Shared experiences, a real connection.
It's a message that resonates today.
It does, for sure.
I mean, we're bombarded with messages.
Constantly.
About what we should have, how we should look, who we should be with.
Yeah, it's easy to lose sight of what matters.
Amidst all that noise.
Right.
And, for Rousseau, the antidote to those societal pressures, it's a return to nature. He believed that spending time in nature could help us reconnect with ourselves, cultivate more authentic relationships.
Ditch the fancy dinners, go for a walk in the woods.
Right. Connect with nature, connect with each other.
You'll find a deeper love.
Exactly. He saw nature as a space to shed those artificial layers, that society imposes.
Okay.
Reconnect with our goodness, our capacity for affection and connection.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rousseau, rethinking education.
Rethinking society.
Thinking love. But was he able to live up to these ideals in his personal life?
Well,
The Confessions paint a complicated picture.
he didn't shy away from his flaws.
Yeah, he had his struggles.
His love life was intense.
Okay.
Passionate, but also marked by insecurity and jealousy.
Yeah, just like us.
He was a complex individual.
Right.
Trying to navigate the complexities of love,
Yeah.
just like everyone else.
Makes his work even more interesting.
It does, doesn't it?
He's not just preaching from on high.
Yeah, no.
He's in the trenches with us,
He's grappling with these human experiences.
trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, and inviting us along for the ride.
It's like he's saying, hey, I'm figuring this out too, folks. Let's explore these ideas together.
Yeah, let's challenge each other.
Create a world where love and freedom can thrive.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
It really is.
He's inviting us into this conversation
A dialogue
that transcends time.
continues to this day.
Absolutely.
So as we move into the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
what's one key takeaway?
About love and relationships.
Yeah, about love and relationships for our listeners.
Well, Rousseau believed that love is most authentic when it's free from those societal constraints,
Right.
rooted in shared values.
Okay.
But here's a question. Can love truly exist outside the influence of society? Or is it always shaped by the norms and expectations of the world we live in?
That's something to think about.
Yeah, it's worth considering.
It is. And maybe it'll tie into his views on religion,
Oh, yeah, we're getting into that next.
because that's another big piece of the puzzle
It is.
to understand Rousseau's vision. Okay, so we've covered so much ground.
We have
Human nature, society, love.
big topics.
Yeah, Rousseau really makes you think.
He does.
But there's another piece to explore, another piece of the puzzle, I guess you could say. His views on religion.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So where does faith fit into all of this?
Well, Rousseau's views on religion were pretty controversial for his time.
I bet, yeah.
He was deeply skeptical of organized religion.
Okay.
You know, he saw it as just another institution that could be used to control people
Right.
rather than fostering genuine spirituality.
So he's not saying religion is bad,
No, not necessarily.
but the institution,
Yeah, the way it's often practiced.
the dogma, the hierarchy.
Yeah, he saw that as problematic.
So he's saying the church isn't the path to true faith.
He believed that true religion was about personal conviction. It's an inner experience.
A direct connection.
Yeah, a direct connection with the divine.
Not something imposed from outside.
Right, not dictated by priests or dogma.
So it's more about individual spirituality than adhering to institutions.
Yeah. He proposed what he called a natural religion
Okay.
based on feeling, intuition,
Okay.
awe inspired by the natural world.
I see. So again, we see this emphasis on direct experience.
That's a key theme for Rousseau.
It is.
Yeah.
Whether it's connecting with nature or connecting with something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly, that sense of the divine.
Okay, so he's not a fan of organized religion,
Well,
but he recognizes...
he did see that religion played a role in society.
Okay, yeah.
He believed that a shared sense of morality
Okay.
was important.
Right, for a functioning society.
Right, we need some kind of framework.
Some guidelines, right?
Yeah, some shared values.
So we need a moral compass.
He thought so.
But he doesn't want the church dictating what that should be.
Right. It's more about universal ethics.
Like,
Compassion, justice, the common good.
okay, so it sounds like he's almost laying the groundwork for the separation of church and state.
Yeah, he was definitely ahead of his time in that sense.
So individuals are free to follow their conscience
Right.
without fear of persecution.
That's the ideal.
So if organized religion isn't the answer, what is?
Well, he suggests a more personal approach,
Okay.
rooted in an appreciation for nature.
There it is again. Back to nature.
You know, he believed that contemplating nature allowed us to connect
Okay.
with a higher power,
Okay.
find meaning and purpose.
So instead of grand cathedrals,
Right.
go for a walk in the woods.
It's a different kind of worship.
Find God in the beauty of nature.
He saw nature as the perfect setting
Okay.
for contemplation, for reflection.
Yeah. It's a powerful idea.
It is.
It's a reminder that true happiness
Mm-hmm.
might not be about material possessions.
Right.
It's about something deeper.
A connection with something larger than ourselves.
And that brings us back to one of Rousseau's core themes.
In the heart of it.
Stripping away those artificial layers.
The layers that society puts on us.
Yeah, getting back to our authentic selves.
That's the key.
All right, so as we wrap up our deep dive into Rousseau's world.
It's been a journey.
It has. What's the key takeaway?
What should our listeners ponder?
Yeah, what should they take away from all of this?
Well, Rousseau's idea, I mean, they might seem radical, maybe idealistic, but they make us think.
They do.
They force us to examine ourselves.
And the world we've created.
Right, to ask those tough questions.
About human nature, society, the search for meaning.
I think that's why his voice still matters.
It's like he's shaking us awake.
He is.
Say, hey, think differently.
Challenge your assumptions.
Keep striving for a better world.
Even if perfection is out of reach.
Well said.
Hey.
Thanks for guiding us through this.
It's been a pleasure.
Really stimulating journey.
Rousseau, he's not just some historical figure.
Right.
His ideas, they're still being debated.
They're alive.
They are.
So keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep that conversation going.
Keep striving to nurture the best aspects of humanity.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.